There's something wrong with the moon.
There's something wrong with the moon.
I first noticed it as I was driving home from work.
Through the crisscrossing branches of the treetops, I saw a flash of white.
And my brain immediately thought it was some sort of early Christmas decoration, like a lit star, on top of a building.
Of course, a second later, I realized it was the moon.
But I could see why my brain went there. It looked just a little bigger, a little brighter than it should have been.
A big white ball shining down on me like an eye.
Throughout the drive home, as soon as the moon peeked into view, my eyes immediately snapped to it.
It was jarring, different.
As products of evolution, our brains are programmed to notice changes in our surroundings.
New things.
Different things.
It's why we notice a speck of dirt on the floor, instead of the dozens of whorls in the wood or the way the carpet fibers push together.
Our eyes go to it because it's different.
And my eyes kept going to the moon.
When I got home, I told my husband, the moon looks weird.
He joined me at the window. We stared up at it together.
It was perfectly full of perfect circle floating in the endless expanse of space.
Wait, wasn't it just a crescent moon a few days ago? Rich asked me.
Maybe. I pulled out my phone.
I searched for a few minutes, and then I found it a moon calendar.
My heart dropped.
It's supposed to be a new moon right now.
Rich took the phone from me and stared at it.
What?
We both looked at the calendar.
Then I searched for more moon calendars.
But they all said the same thing tonight was supposed to be a new moon.
I started through the house, closing the blinds.
Rich followed me.
What are you doing?
I don't want to see it anymore.
I snapped.
He stepped back, surprised at my sudden anger.
I didn't blame him. I, too, was surprised by how panicked my voice sounded.
What if it's some kind of spy weather balloon or UFO or something? That's designed to look like the moon, so no one questions it.
Then they did a shitty job.
They should have looked at the moon calendar before designing it, or sent it up when it was a full moon.
Or maybe there are other factors at play.
Maybe they can only send it up during certain weather conditions.
So they had to send it up tonight. I continued closing the curtains.
Through the translucent, gauzy ones in the living room, I could still see it a foggy, glowing sphere above the treetops.
A chill ran down my spine.
I started upstairs.
But when I walked over to the window, ready to close the curtains, I froze.
Thick clouds had rolled in.
But they weren't in front of the moon, they were behind it.
Rich!
I shouted.
Rich, look.
I pointed at the sky, shaking.
He stared up at it, confused, then his face dropped with realization.
He reached up and pulled the curtains closed with a metallic schling.
We went back downstairs and turned on the local news.
But there was nothing about it, nothing about the fake moon floating in the sky.
It can't be that high up, I whispered, if it's in front of the clouds.
It's probably one of those spy balloons, like you said.
I texted a few of our friends in town.
Only one texted back he'd noticed the moon looked bright, but hadn't thought through it more than that.
Now he was freaking out just like we were, as he noticed the clouds behind the moon just like we did.
As Rich and I sat together, talking about what this could possibly be, something caught my eye. Movement.
Through the translucent curtains in the living room, I ran to the window.
Parted them, slightly.
I gasped as I watched the moon ripple.
That was the only way I could describe it.
Like the image was some huge piece of cloth, balloon or otherwise, hit with a gust of wind.
The craters rippled and shivered, and then the moon went out.
As my eyes adjusted to the darkness, I could barely make out a black, circular silhouette floating up in the sky where the moon had been.
It floated upwards and disappeared. This was about a week ago.
Since nothing else happened, and the balloon or whatever it was didn't reappear, I thought that was the end of it.
Whatever it was, it had completed its journey and moved on to other things.
But I was wrong.
Because this morning, I received a text message from an unverified number.
It was a photo.
An aerial view of our house, taken from maybe 1,000 feet up.
Detailed enough that I could make out the half-built garden in our backyard, the chairs on our deck.
After talking to our friends, we learned they'd received similar images of their own houses, in startling detail.
But we all got the same message.
2 words below the image.
We're watching.